Meeting has begun.
Alrighty, hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Jordan Friend and I'm with the University of Nevada School of Medicine, and I'm here to welcome to you our presenter for the day. Her name is Hannah McDonald. Now, Hannah McDonald is employed by Partnership Carson City as the Youth Program and Parent Education Coordinator. In this role, she coordinates youth efforts to combat substance abuse issues through peer-to-peer campaigns, parent education, and community awareness. She is also passionate about mental health and those suffering from illnesses and disorders. As a mental health first aid instructor, she is able to further education in our community. Hannah became involved in substance abuse prevention at the age of 12 through her involvement in the Nevada Enforcing Underage Drinking Laws Stand Tall, Don't Fall program. Her involvement with the program included various speaking engagements, including presenting at the National Conference of First Ladies in Washington, D.C., statewide youth conferences, and the Nevada State Legislature. Hannah's passion as a teenager has turned into a calling for her as an adult. She is married to Travis McDonald and is the mother of 3 boys. She is enthusiastic about changing the environment around substance abuse through youth-led programs and projects and mental health through awareness and education. She said, "It is said over and over that youth are our future, but I truly believe that youth are our present. They know more than anyone about the pressures teenagers may experience. I want to know about right now. If we are only looking forward to the future, we forget about today, and more importantly, yesterday. Working with youth gives me the passion and the drive to stand next to the youth as they shape a new today." So we are so honored to have her with us today. Please note this slide here for our learning objectives and our disclosure policy. And without further ado, I give you Hannah McDonald.
I'm ready. Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. Thank you, Jordan, for that nice introduction. Today we're going to talk about youth are using what. This is just a cap of what we see teenagers doing. It helps us further understand how we can work in our careers to reduce these issues and move on to a better tomorrow. So let's get started. I want to remind you that in the bottom you can use the public chat to ask questions. Feel free to ask at any time, and I will just answer them over the speaker so that everyone can hear that answer. Here we go. There's your learning objectives. Right, first we're going to talk about energy drinks because this seems to be the new fad in what is bringing young people into alcohol and drug use. It seemed like it used to be cigarettes, and now energy drinks are the new thing. So most of us know that energy drinks are beverages that contain large doses of caffeine and also other legal stimulants. Most of the time we see things like guarana and ginseng, and they are definitely marketed to those who are under 30 years old. There's short-term effects that come with energy drinks. They boost heart rate, blood pressure, palpitations, anxiety, and they prevent sleep. With excess exercise, we get fluid loss from sweating, and the diuretic quality of caffeine causes severe dehydration. So what are in energy drinks? If you're a physician or if you're someone who consumes energy drinks, you probably know by reading that nutrition label that we don't see how much caffeine is added into those. We do see, though, that there is all of the other stimulants, guarana, ginseng, taurine, L-carnitine, all of those other chemicals and stimulant forms. So energy drinks usually contain between 70 and 200 milligrams of caffeine per 8-ounce serving. Most energy drinks come in 12 ounces or more. They typically are not in an 8-ounce serving. Coke has 34 milligrams per 12 ounces, and that is one of the sodas that have the least. Mountain Dew is 55% or 55 milligrams, and then Rockstar at a 12-ounce can, that's their beginning size of a can, is 160 per serving. And most people see side effects at 200 milligrams. Taurine, this is an amino acid that our bodies naturally produce. It's necessary for our bodies to have it, and we normally get it in breast milk for babies, meat, and in fish. The recommended daily dose is 100 to 500 milligrams, and energy drinks can contain up to 1,000 milligrams. And 4 energy drinks per day for the average consumer is between 2 and 4 energy drinks a day. That's 4,000 milligrams that our bodies have to excrete through our kidneys and our liver. Guarana, this is a fruit. That's what makes these so enticing to young people, is that everything about them seems so natural. Guarana is a fruit, then it has to be healthy. The seed contains up to 4 to 8% caffeine, and that comes from that comes as a native plant, as the coffee plant. So the percentage is so much higher, and then the caffeine is also added into that as well. The stimulant that increases mental alertness, it fights fatigue, and it increases stamina and physical endurance. This is really enticing towards athletic young individuals. And then ginkgo biloba, this is marketed as improving memory retention and concentration. It's also marketed towards those who might be suffering with dementia and Alzheimer's. Most energy drinks don't contain enough to be of any health benefit, but there is enough for it to be a stimulant. People using antidepressants are not supposed to be taking ginkgo biloba. And what we are seeing with young people who are using antidepressants, they are consuming more energy drinks than those who are not on antidepressants. And that may be because it gives them an up feeling or an excited feeling and can make them believe that they're feeling better. Milk thistle is marketed as a liver detoxifying agent. Many people with hepatitis take this as a health benefit to them. They put this in the after partying drinks of the energy drinks. Monster sells a drink that is marketed as a drink that you have after a long night of partying, and it says that there's milk thistle in there to help detoxify your liver. And then the last one is ginseng. This is marketed also towards those who are suffering with Alzheimer's and dementia, and they also put this into the energy drinks as the agent that is believed to give us stress relieving and memory intention and help us with focus. So once again, that entices young people who are studying for exams, who are working hard in sports, and who are in need of more attention-driven lifestyle. There's a marketing plan with anything and everything we buy, and especially with energy drinks and alcohol. There's a marketing three-point plan that is been created by the large companies, and the one most common thing that we see is the brand confusion. To create brand confusion with non-alcoholic versions, and you see this with tobacco and other food items. If you go to the store, you'll see the generic item marked in between the name brand items. They provide a cheaper alternative by mixing energy drinks with alcohol so that a young person isn't having to buy two. And they also deploy grass-friendly routes to young people. Monster sponsors the X Games. They sponsor our Lucas Oil races that we have out here in Sparks. And they put their name on everything, including clothing. Mike's Hard Lemonade and Seagram's Limeades are very popular towards young people. And if you look at that picture, you can see how these all kind of have the same look. They're not marketing to people in our age demographic. So the big deal with energy drinks isn't that they're just a gateway, but that we are seeming to mix them with alcohol, which is a depressant. And so the energy drinks, when they're mixed with alcohol, has a number of dangers. The energy drinks are stimulants, and alcohol being a depressant sends a lot of mixed signals to our nervous systems. And when our body is trying to come down and let us know we're too tired from drinking too much, the stimulant is keeping us awake, and that ends up causing young people to drink a lot more. And the stimulant effect masks how intoxicated a person is and can actually cause them to end up drinking more and make them feel as if they're not drunk. And that's where we see a lot of alcohol poisoning, passing out and vomiting in the sleep happening. So what's the big deal? The blood alcohol concentration is the same regardless of how alert you feel. And that's a myth that young people think, oh, well, if I stay energized, then I'm not getting as much alcohol into my system. The depressant-like effects take over once the stimulant wears off, and it causes a deep sleep, including vomiting in your sleep, respiratory depression, And then both energy drinks and alcohol are dehydration causing drinks. And they can change our body's ability to metabolize alcohol, increasing the toxicity. So there's a price comparison. They make alcoholic and energy drinks different price, and the alcoholic ones generally are cheaper. And if you buy 2 alcoholic energy drinks a day for an entire year, you'll save yourself $320. They do this on purpose, and they'll even set up, so if you buy 2, you only get it for $3, but if you buy 2 energy drinks, it'll be $4. So what are Alcopops? We see this term everywhere. Alcopops is a term used for sweetened alcoholic beverages that are usually sold in single-serving bottles or cans. That is like your Sea Breezes, your Bacardi Breezers, your Mike's Hard Lemonade, all of those things that are typically mixed drinks at a bar coming in a bottle or a can. Alcopops often contain a higher amount of alcohol than they do in a beer, and they are typically malt beverages. I'd like for everyone to know how Alcopops are made so that we understand why we're getting taxed differently on them than we would with hard alcohol. Alcopops start out as a beer, and then the manufacturers remove the color and the taste and almost all of the alcohol, leaving nearly just water. They add flavoring, sweeteners, and distilled alcohol for the final product, and this allows Alcopops to be taxed as beer and not as hard liquor. So some quotes from the industry. The beauty of this category, Alcopops, is that it brings in new drinkers, people who don't really like the taste of beer. This is the vice president of Anheuser-Busch, and she's still currently the vice president of Anheuser-Busch. Well, they have a company to run. We know that. They need to make money and get themselves out there. But the fact that they realize they're bringing in young people and they're trying to get a drink out there to people who aren't mature enough to enjoy a beer or a harder drink, we know that that's going toward our 14, 15, 16-year-old people. And then Sam Adams, which is now a small company of Anheuser-Busch, they have one too. It says, with young drinkers, their palates have not quite matured yet to the drinks like bourbon. Alternatives are sweeter and they're easier to drink, and it takes less time to mature to the taste. The goal is to hook them young and keep them until they're ready to drink bourbon. And then with Sublime, this is another Alcopop company, is that they're telling us that they are creating a bridging beverage, taking us from fruit juices and Snapple to new hard lemonades. So what's the big deal with Alcopops? The big deal is that Alcopops fuel an epidemic of underage drinking, and they serve as a transition. We see it from the presidents of these companies. They know that they're creating this bridge. 41% of Alcopops are consumed by young people, and 51% of teens ages 17 to 18, now that's like a junior or senior, have tried Alcopops compared to 24% of adults. You can see down here on the bottom of these graphs, the alcohol consumption, girls versus boys, and then the other one is the consequences of Alcopops. So teen girls across the board drink more alcohol than boys. They drink more Alcopops, more beer, more hard drinks, and wine. And then on the other side, this one is just for girls, teen girls who have tried Alcopops but are not drinking other alcohol, and then teen girls who have not tried Alcopops but who have tried other things. You can see that Alcopops increase their rates of vomiting and passing out, drove with someone who was drinking or drove after drinking, and those who are sexually active. And that could be because they're consuming them quicker, they're not realizing how drunk they are, and very quickly the vomiting and passing out, the poor decision making, and we see young girls drink these bubbly, fruity drinks because they're trying to get the attention of someone else. So these are just the facts kind of broken out so you can really see what they look like. So we see that girls see 95% more magazine advertisings for low alcohol refreshers than legal age women. That is because these ads are in young magazines. 17 magazine used to have cigarette ads and alcohol ads in their magazine until they were told that they needed to take them out. And then 1 out of 14 girls who have tried Alka-Pops have driven after drinking or rode in a car. That is that statistic broken out so you can really see 1 out of 4. That's a lot. And then the health effects on women and girls. Teenage girls who binge drink are 63% more likely to become teen mothers. That's because that decision making is not happening when they're drunk. Heavy alcohol use compromises bone health and increases the risk of osteoporosis by decreasing the bone density and weakening the bones. And then we also see that young girls have a lot of menstrual problems who seem to be drinking, and that also can lead to why they're ending up pregnant. They're not able to track their cycles. I don't know if any of you have seen this out there. This is a new one, Palcohol. It is a powdered alcohol. It is the easy way to bring your alcohol with you. If you're on a hike and you want to enjoy a lemon drop martini at the top of that mountain, you can bring this with you. Alcohol in a powdered form, that's all it is. It mixes with water, and you can mix it with a little bit of water, you can mix it with a lot of water. And it has been banned in 3 states, and then we have 5 more that are in the process. Nevada is in the process of getting that banned. The reason states are banning it is because in most of the laws it says that alcohol is a liquid. And since this is a powder, it is not something that we can pass easily. Also, some of their ads say that this is alcohol on crack. The concern is that people can snort this or they can cook it down and inject it. And there is many jokes out there about people, you might as well just inject your alcohol into your arm if you're going to drink that much. Well, this might be the perfect way of someone being able to do that. It's easy to conceal. It can be mixed with other alcoholic beverages for a stronger percentage, and it can be abused by snorting, smoking, injecting it with other drugs. Right now, the FDA had to pull it back, and it has not hit the market yet, but it will soon, and it's something we need to watch out for. And bath salts, these hit the headlines what seems like all the time. And bath salts are known to produce side effects similar or more severe than methane cocaine. They cause elevated heart rate, hypertension, extreme paranoia, superhuman strength. That's like the story that we've seen in Florida where the man ate the other man's face off. Because of the delusions and the paranoia he was having and that superhuman strength, he thought he could do something as dangerous as eating someone's face off. I have a short clip here for you. This is a little bit older of a clip, but this will just show you how easy it is for someone to order bath salts. Our office did an operation to see if we could order them, and we did, and they come very concealed. It's very easy to do, and in partnership with our local law enforcement, they helped us go through this process of ordering them, and they came in a very short amount of time, and they actually gave us extra samples to have on hand. Will my video play? You know, I'm not sure if my video will play, you guys. If you want, you can check this out on YouTube. The video is just bath salts in the United States, and you can check it out there. They're going to check some technical difficulties and see if it'll play for you. While they do that, we'll continue with the slideshow. So on October 21st, 2011, the DEA put a ban or a schedule on some of the chemicals that were found in bath salts. And it seems as if they are going about every 6 to 12 months and having to put bans on new chemicals. The hard part about synthetic or manufactured drugs that are being sold in our head shops and in our lower gas station types of stores is that these drugs are made with such prestige that they can change the chemical compound just by a little bit, and they'll be legal before the DEA can put a ban on them. But every 6 to 12 months we see new bath salts come out along with other drugs such as spice. And we'll move into that in a little bit. So the problem's not solved. Bath salts aren't just being sold in a powder form. Now they're being sold in a capsule form, and sometimes they're called mind candy or party pills instead of party powder. So Mind Candy Ultra Bliss pills, this is what we ordered online. They came in 250 milligram pills in a 2-pack, and if we bought one, we got one for free, but they actually sent us 3 more for free. The price was $13.32, and they were said to be 100% legal worldwide. And then they listed the states for us where they weren't legal. It says on the back, the directions is to pop one pill into your plant and watch your plant's mind explode. Since they say that they're for plants, they have to give directions on how to give it to your plant. But then it says not for human consumption. If there's an overdose, follow these directions, call your poison control. And then when you get online to read the reviews, there's people who are explaining exactly how their high was. And these are other ones, just images of what you can see what bath salt packages look like. They also say DEA compliant party powder, and then they'll list drugs that are not in them. So it doesn't contain LSD, cocaine, MDMA, or amphetamines, and the list will go on and on as these drugs become illegal. So Spice, this one is still very popular. It's still very easy to get your hands on. Even though it is illegal in our stores here, it's super easy to buy online. So it's a synthetic cannabinoid that are chemically engineered substances similar to THC, and they can produce a similar high to marijuana, or at least they're supposed to. But the high can be much worse and much more grave circumstances that come afterwards. It was initially developed for research related to the treatment of pain, and then when it got into the wrong hands, it turned into a street drug. The substances are sprayed onto dried herbs, and they're sold as an incense. And then same thing, it comes in a gram dosage, and then it says not for human consumption. And they'll be sold with images of pot leaves and other things on them. Here's some packages just so you can see what it looks like. It's really important for us to know that the brain is 5 times more receptive to synthetic cannabinoids than it is to the THC and marijuana. So when they created these synthetic cannabinoids, they really created future addicts. And then, is it worth this risk? We see that in Carson, that's where I'm from, we have many young people who are having what seems to be irreversible effects of smoking spice. The loss of cognition, the slow response time, dilated pupils. These are just some of the short-term effects. Now, someone that we know personally has suffered seizures since the first time she's tried it, and that was 6 years ago. And she still suffers and deals with those seizures today. It was something she never had until she smoked the spice. This was the ban that the DEA put out in 2012. And the new one that came out in 2014 is much longer than this. You can see that the chemical names are listed down there, and the only reason it gets longer is because more chemicals keep coming out. We have a little bit of information about prescription drug use in here. We're not going to go into a whole in-depth of what prescription drug abuse is, but we will just talk a little bit about it. So prescription drug abuse is when someone takes medication inappropriately, so without a prescription, in another way than it is prescribed, or for the purpose of getting high. This is the #1 cause and the #1 reason for deaths in Carson City right now. It isn't heroin, even though heroin is a big drug for us. We see more young people and elderly people passing as a result of prescription drug abuse or misuse. So every day in the United States, 2,000 teenagers abuse prescription drugs for the first time. And the rates in Nevada are much higher than they are in other states, although Florida is still beating us by a lot. Prescription drugs are the most abused drugs by teens after alcohol, marijuana, and tobacco. Prescription drugs can be sold for $30 to $60 a pill on campus out of school. They're normally not strong enough for someone once their addiction increases. They give them a 4 to 6 hour high, and it's hard to get a prescription when it runs out. It's not easy doctor shopping in small towns. Even though Reno is pretty large, it can very easily run out for someone, and that's when we see someone turn to heroin. It's about $5 to $12 for a bag. The high lasts a lot longer, 6 to 10 hours. It's easy to get from street dealers, and it's still opiate-based, just like the pain pills are. It normally only takes about 3 to 6 months for a prescription drug abuser to turn into a heroin user. So in 2009, the number of people killed by drug poisoning caused a large increase in painkiller abuse, and it surpassed motor vehicle deaths for the first time ever. And that is huge because we see all the time, if you watch the news, you see all the time people dying from car crashes, but we can account 1.5 deaths for every car crash where there's a fatality. You can see from 1999 up to 2009, the major increase in opiate-based prescription drugs. And you can see right there in 2005, 2006, there's a pretty sharp increase, and that was because new drugs hit the market. We had a major stock crash in the United States, and it became very easy for people to abuse drugs, whether it was stress-related, depression-related, life circumstances. Many things caused that massive increase. So in 2010, I know these statistics seem a little bit old, but if you can just think that they keep going up, they're only worse than they say right now. In 2010, more people aged 12 and older abused or were dependent on prescription painkillers than cocaine, heroin, stimulants, and sedatives combined. 12 and older, 12-year-old is a 7th grader. I can't imagine what they would even need painkillers for. Prescription drugs are perceived to be safer than street drugs because they're made by a manufacturer and they're FDA approved, but they're regulated for a reason. That's why they're regulated, is because they are so dangerous. In Kratom, I don't want to say this is new, but this is newer around our area. Kratom is a tree that is from Southeast Asia. We see it a lot in Thailand and Malaysia. The botanical name is right there for you to read. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. And Kratom is in the same family as the coffee plant. However, it is not a caffeine-driven plant. It is an opiate-driven plant. The leaves of Kratom have been used as an herbal drug by people in Southeast Asia and for centuries. They've used it to help treat pain, to use it in their rituals of their daily lifestyles. It is used in folk medicine as a stimulant when it's in low doses, and as a sedative in high doses. You can see that kind of compares to heroin. Heroin is the same kind of thing. It can be a stimulant at low doses and a sedative at high doses. It is now being used as a recreational drug and being sold on the counters of Chevron. I live in Dayton, and we see it on the counters of Chevron, and in some places in Carson, being sold as a sex-enhancing herbal medication. It is not, however, it is an opiate-driven plant that has been used in the United States many years ago to help heroin users come off of heroin, just like we use methadone for amphetamine addicts. So we see that Kratom's rates are going up in use. When I asked the guy at the Chevron down the street from my house how often they have to refill their little rack, and he said they refill it 5 to 10 times a day, depending on the time of the year. Here's some other packages that Kratom comes in. The effects are simultaneous stimulation and sedation, the feelings of empathy, feelings of euphoria, vivid waking dreams, aphrodisiac-like qualities, and that's why it's being sold as a sex-enhancing pill. Just like how we sell spice as an incense, it is just another way to market it so that it is considered legal to sell. It causes dizziness, nausea, or vomiting, and mild depression during and or after consuming it, and an increased body temperature and hangover is similar to alcohol. It can be boiled down into a tea. They come in capsules, so it can be swallowed like a pill, or you can take the leaves out and it can be boiled down into a tea. And there's some quotes here on the side. One person said on the reviews that it was a pleasant, warm, euphoric opiate state for a good part of the day, with a slight nod and drowsiness involved, but it wasn't overwhelming. Another person said that their Kratom experience was equivalent to a strong oxycodone experience. For those of you who have seen what oxycodone experience is like for someone who is hooked, you know that Kratom would be the exact same experience for them. Vodka-soaked gummies have been around and even at adult parties, but the problem is that kids are taking them to school. Eagle Valley Middle School last year had 6 students throwing up in class because they had overconsumed alcoholic-soaked gummy bears. And sometimes we laugh about it because we think, oh, they're teenagers, they're just doing such dumb stuff. But the danger is that we can't help teens understand how much alcohol is being absorbed into these gummies. And you can look right here. This is the before gummy on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, and that's the after gummy, how big it got after it soaked up that alcohol. And then you can see down at the bottom the dramatic change in it. So about 25 gummy bears will soak up 1/4 of a cup of vodka. That's about 4 shots. And they're super easy to conceal and hide and take to school, or have them in your bedroom or at a slumber party, however they're going to be used. Eyeball shots are something that seem to happen a lot at college parties or high school parties. It is basically what it looks like, taking a bottle of vodka or any other type of alcohol, putting it over the eye, and allowing the alcohol to go through those mucous membranes in the back of the eye, and the body will absorb the alcohol straight into the bloodstream. And the mucous membranes are sensitive and very porous, and they need to stay moist. And so putting that alcohol in there dries them out. It can cause blindness, temporary blindness, permanent blindness, and this young man at the bottom definitely over-abused his ability to do eyeball shots. It happens a lot in nightclubs. There's a young man in Carson that I spoke to at an event one day, and he told me that he had lost most of his vision in his right eye due to doing this at a party just a couple of times in one night. The scariest part is that our bodies metabolize alcohol, and so if we're not putting it in our mouth and then into our stomach and our digestive tract and letting our liver and our kidneys detoxify that, putting it straight into the bloodstream, your body has no way of saying, I'm too drunk. It can't throw it up to get it out. There's no survival modes that your body can take to get it out like that. Oh, you can? Yeah. Oh, great. We can do the video. I will play this one for you. Oh, is it on there? I'll have to share. Oh, the Let's Absorb? Yeah, the Let's Absorb, yeah. We can try that one. I see it. Oh, the sound on this video is really low, but that video is just watching how gummy bears are made, or the vodka-soaked gummies are made. It'll be back. It will. I have to turn on the sound. There it is. Most of you are probably going to have a really hard time hearing this video. He's just telling us that we need gummy bears, a good vodka, a glass cup, and cellophane. He puts about 25 gummy bears into the bottom of that cup. And he just lets us know that we need to have the alcohol go above the gummy bears And that's about an 8-ounce glass, and it's about halfway full. And he just says write the date and the time on there, and in about 8 to 12 hours, the gummies will have soaked up all of the alcohol, and they will be ready. And then at the bottom, there will be a sugary jelly substance that you can also eat if you would like to. We made these at our office just because if we're going to talk about something, we want to make sure that we know what we're talking about. We don't try everything, but we do try to get our hands on it just to see. And they're disgusting. They're absolutely horrible. I don't understand why anyone, young or old, would want to make these. We do have one more video, and this one is going to be the eyeball shots, and we're going to get that pulled up for you shortly. And this will just be so you can really see that this isn't something people are just talking about as a fad. This is real. People really do it. And, yep, that one right there. Here we are. Oh. Oh, I guess the sound's not coming through to you guys for the video, so we're going to stop it, and we can keep going on. If you have any questions about what was going on in the video, please feel free to put them in that public chat corner, and I can answer any questions that you have. All right, we'll keep moving forward. So the doctor in the video was just going to let us know that she had a young girl come in who had a toxic amblyopia, and she didn't know why, and the doctor said, are you changing anything? Are you doing different things with your eye? And she goes, well, is it because I'm shooting alcohol into my eyes? And the doctor said, yes. Where did you learn how to do this from? And the young girl explains that it was her mother who told her how to do it, and that no one would smell alcohol in your breath. But she started losing her vision and was getting dark spots all over her eyes. So this is something that was talked about in the 80s in the rock and roll stages of life about soaking tampons in vodka or any other kind of alcohol. Typically it seems to be vodka. But it is something that is seriously, seriously happening now, and we see it more with our heavy alcohol consumers or young people, and we even see it with young men, teenage, high school age, those who don't want the smell of alcohol in their breath but still want to give it away with having a little bit of alcohol in their system. So the reason they're doing this is they think they can pass a breathalyzer. If they don't consume it through their mouth, they believe that the breathalyzer isn't going to pick up anything on them. But a breathalyzer measures the blood alcohol concentration, not the smell of alcohol on our breath. They can get drunk faster because it directly enters the vascular system without going through the stomach, and they can stay drunk longer. They can sneak it into school, into prom, into any kind of party, and we see young women inserting them into their vagina and into their rectum, and young men are inserting them into the rectum. I believe that this fad has become so much more popular because of the Jackass movies. And I'll say my husband and I are fans. We'll watch people do stupid stuff. But there is one video or one part of the movie where a guy on the show had put a beer bong up his rectum and poured as much beer into it as possible. After that, we've seen a massive change in young people doing things just like this. And it's killing them. And it's changing their body chemistry forever. There is a young woman that I spoke with, her and her mother, who the girl had to have a hysterectomy at a young age because it started burning the lining in the inside of all of her womanly parts. So some of those consequences is that they may not pass a breathalyzer test. We do know that you can pass a breathalyzer test even if you're super intoxicated. It burns the lining of the vagina and or the anus. The alcohol poisoning is due to the improper breakdown of alcohol, and the alcohol poisoning is what seems to be taking the lives of so many young people. There's no gag reflex, so they won't throw up even if they have too much alcohol in their system. And then chronic yeast infections, and then with abuse, infertility is possible in women. These are all things that if we were together in a room, you would be able to get your hands on and really see what they're like. These are glass cuff pipe bracelets that we have for display. And you can see right here, this is where the marijuana or any other kind of smoked drug would be put. And then up here is where you can inhale through the mouth, and you can wear this as a bracelet. I think that it would stink a lot, but if you don't care, you can wear it. These are other forms of bracelets. We have some of these so that people can see them. They unscrew right here. They unscrew. This larger part is the bowl, and then this bead comes off of this bead, and that is where you would inhale. And then you can twist it back up and continue to wear it. We see a lot of people wear them on their ankles because it's not as noticeable or not as stinky. What we see a lot of with young people is now how can they conceal it, how can they hide it, and how they can take it from point A to point B without anyone noticing. And that's what we see happening with the pipe bracelets and the glass bracelets, is that they've been around for a long time, and they've been on older individuals, let's say 20 and up, but now we see it with middle schoolers and up, and that's just a little bit too young. We also have this lipstick pipe. We've gotten all of these things from head shops in local areas in Reno and in Carson. They're not hard to get your hands on. They say that they're for novelty purposes, but they can be used very easily. So here's the bowl, and at the tip of the lipstick is where you would inhale. And it's an exact replica of Revlon lipstick tubes. So it's super easy for a teenager to hide this in their pocket, in their purse, their backpack, their car, and no one would notice it. There's also the highlighter. This is the Real Highlighter logo. It has the trademark sign on it. It has all of the normal things that a highlighter container would have, but it does have, out of this back part right here is where this pipe gets pulled out of. The highlighter is a functioning highlighter. It does write. We use it all the time at work. And unfortunately, it just has a pipe in the back. It was sold to us at a head shop here in Reno. They have a whole bunch of them, once again, for novelty purposes, although we know that's not what it's used for. Kid can hide this on their desk at home. If it's cleaned out on a regular basis, no one would smell anything. We have Monster Drink stash cans. This just twists off the top, and it's a stash can. I know we have stash cans at home, but they're not energy drink ones or ones that a teenager will be carrying around. We put our money in them to hide them. I'm sure some of you have things like that at home. But this one is easy for a student to have at school to transport the selling of illegal drugs. Just hand the can to the person and get your can back later. They had been confiscated at school with proof of residue of other drugs on them. Now, not everything that teenagers consume or young people consume is illegal. These Red Line Extreme Energy drinks contain amphetamines that have not been marked as illegal. On the container, this whole thing right here, all of this fine print, is the warning label on the side of these bottles right here. The warning label says that if you have thyroid problems, depression, chronic conditions of glaucoma, problems urinating, basically once you go through the whole list, there's only about 3 or 4% of the population that could safely drink this. And then when it says that you have to be 18 or older to purchase this, we tried it out with my 7-year-old son, who at the time was only 4. I handed him money, I handed him the drink, and he got in line in front of me at Walmart, and they didn't ask him for his ID, and they didn't ask me for mine, and they sold it to him. They are still sold in Walmart, and to the best of my knowledge, they are still not IDing for them. They're very dangerous. They have an extreme amount of different caffeines in them. And then there's these ones that also come with warning labels. These ones are relaxing drinks that will help you fall asleep. They have chamomile and other things in them that for the direct purpose of helping you relax and helping you get tired. They sell the Marley's Mellow Mood, and we already know that Marley is a big name in our marijuana industry, and then they sell a drink to hook young people. They say that some of the money goes to profit of the One Love organization, and money goes to other proceeds as well. We have a couple more slides for you, and then we're going to do some questions and answers. So if you have any questions, start thinking of them. This is vodka-infused whipped cream. It's 15% alcohol per volume, and then after it's consumed, or after all of that whipped cream is gone, the nitrous oxide remains, and someone can snort or sip all of the nitrous oxide gas out of there. They come in appealing flavors like raspberry, caramel, chocolate. They come in tons of flavors. That's okay for an adult if you want to have your special drink with a little bit of vodka whipped cream on them. However, young people consuming it, an easy way to get drunk and then have fun with the nitrous oxide, that's laughing gas. That helps put everybody to sleep or relax. It can become very dangerous. Low levels of respiratory breathing and possible overdoses come with that. We also have shoes that have stash containers in them. You can see in the tongue of this shoe right here, there's a little package that we stuck in there. There's a stash container. It says that it's to put a key or your ID in there. However, my Nevada driver's license will not fit into that package, but a small amount of pills can fit in there. And right here in the bottom of the shoe, there's a little tab you can pull out that can fit about 15 of the 500 milligram Tylenol size pills in there. So any other kind of drug that's approximately the same size, Oxy, Vicodin, hydrocodone, those can all fit in there as well. And it's a very easily hidden place to put things and get things transported from one place to the other. Now, with every presentation, we always want to remind anyone out there who saw or heard anything in our presentation to make sure that we share it with the appropriate people. Share it with the parents and the patients that you see in your organizations and in your facilities. Share it with teachers and counselors and health professionals and other responsible adults. I hope that you take all of today's information and just allow yourself to be refreshed and give yourself a kickstart into a good tomorrow. And then please don't share it with the general population who can't handle new information or will take it in an irresponsible way. And then try not to publicize the YouTube videos. All those YouTube videos that I pulled up for you today do not have a question of if you are 18 or 21 or older to view them. So they are at the top of the list teaching our young people how to make and how to use alcohol in an inappropriate way. So if you do want to view something, we suggest that you view it through another outlet besides YouTube. And I'll take any questions that you have now. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Well, while Wendy is typing her question, I'm going to come to this last page here. So her question's going to be in the middle, and Hannah's still going to be able to answer those questions. I just wanted to point you to our evaluation, and if anything was interesting to you and you want a file or the PDF of her PowerPoint, it's down in the bottom right corner. Please, please, please ask her questions. We've still got her for another 8 minutes here, so let's use her time wisely. We just want to say thank you so much for being with us today, Hannah. We just really appreciate your time and your effort in putting this together. I know I learned a lot. It was very illuminating to see what the kids are up to these days. So again, the web link is where you can take your survey, your evaluation, and get your CME credit right there. And then the bottom right is for your PDF of her presentation.